Hey folks, Zach Osterman here, Insider, Indianapolis Star. Sorry this has taken so long. This is my son's birthday, and he was actually born very early in the morning after the day that I flew back from the Big Ten tournament in New York City in 2018. So we have it's something of an Osterman family tradition, timing up IU basketball stuff with his birthday. Anyway, tonight's news, and I'll write on this as well. Obviously, I'm not Minneapolis. Mike Nieslick made that trip for us, and he'll also be there for the women's tournament. I'll be up there for the men's tournament as well. But Mike Woodson will return, I should say. That doesn't need to be passive voice, as Indiana's basketball coach in 2024-2025. We confirmed that tonight. Won't dive too deep into it. Got a couple calls to make. Also just still kind of organizing my thoughts after Steak and Shake milkshakes for dinner and a rush through some Nintendo Switch time to get him to bed. My son, obviously. But still kind of just trying to organize sort of where things stand. First blush thought, I'm not really surprised, to be honest. And I know there had been a lot running around, and I suspect, without wanting to put words in anyone's mouth or without wanting to presuppose too much, I suspect there was an extent to which this news kind of got around tonight, because maybe things had gone a little bit too far, kind of off script or off the page in terms of rumors about Bruce Pearl and a lot of parlor intrigue around the role of the Board of Trustees and different things like that. I can tell you that in my experience, and I don't want to speak to this specifically, again, still trying to gather a lot of my thoughts and information and things. In my experience, this stuff is rarely as sort of House of Cards level intriguing as it's sort of made out to be. That's not to say that there aren't, debates had. That's not to say that people don't pick sides at different times and things like that. But it's rarely as, I guess, exciting or layered and political as it's sort of made out to be. Not that it isn't those things, just maybe not to the degree that it's perceived sometimes. And I think that maybe Indiana just sort of felt like this was the right time to just go ahead and step out and say, I guess probably the best way to put it, just because obviously I don't think anybody made any official statement, but word gets out, things get around. I think there was probably, a motivation here to just kind of put all this to rest before it really sort of gained a life of its own. Woodson is only at the end of his third year. It's obviously been a disappointing season. I think, that there's a suggestion it's been a disastrous season. I'm going to be honest. I've been on this beat for, best part of 15, I guess more than 15 years now. I've covered seasons that were worse than this. And I'm not just talking about, Tom Crean's first year or anything like that. Trust me, I've seen seasons that were substantially worse than this one. That's not to say that this one has been, hasn't been without its problems, its valid criticisms, its concerns, etc. But I've seen disastrous basketball seasons. This one is poor, but I wouldn't describe it as disastrous. And I think there's also the feeling, Archie Miller got 4 years. Tom Crean effectively got 6 years. He had that 3-year kind of grace period at the beginning, but he still got 6 years after that. Mike Davis got 6 years. Mike Woodson ultimately had more success in his first 2 years than any of the previous sort of 3 head coaches that had been hired, and kind of how you want to classify Davis as, taking over for Bob Knight is up to you. But, Woodson was more successful across his first 2 seasons than, Tom Crean was, than Archie Miller was, if you want to even say, than Kelvin Sampson was. Obviously, the Sampson situation was different. Point is, I just don't think there was an appetite for that. We wrote something on the buyout yesterday, just, I guess, to sort of explain that a little bit. I had been combing back a few weeks ago through Woodson's contract just to make sure I understood, the buyout language and things like that, because it for better or worse, when the frustration level rises to the level that it's hit this season in some corners of the fan base, people ask, and it's our job to inform, and just to present information that we have. When we can answer those questions, we want to answer them responsibly, but we do want to answer them. And so I was just trying to refamiliarize myself with the way his buyout language had changed based on the contract amendment that he signed back in August that gave him his raise. And when I read that, that's when I found, when I read it a little bit more closely, that's when I found the clause that said that actually Indiana can pay his buyout in annual $1 million installments rather than, having to do it either all at once or in lump sum payments, or, as is often the case with these contracts at Indiana, over the life of the current contract. So like normally, for example, if Indiana wanted to let him go, they would have to pay him everything that was remaining over the life of the deal that runs for 3 more years. This provision would have allowed them to, you can see my dog behind me, forgive me, that's Mo. This would have allowed them to stretch that, to $1 million annually. I don't think interest was involved there, but I'm not positive. Anyway, I was made aware of a couple of rather amusing rumors about where that information came from and why I chose to bring it out now. To be honest, we just thought we'd reached a point near the end of the season where there was so much discussion around this that, again, we want to do these things responsibly, but that it was probably time to sort of share this information. And not that, listen, this was public record anyway. Anyone could get a hold of this contract. You just have to put in a public records request and then wait, frankly, an embarrassing amount of time. If anyone from General Counsel's office is watching, forgive me, but I have been made to wait, I would say, longer than is probably reasonable for some basic document requests a number of times in this job in my career. And so if anyone from General Counsel's office is watching, I'm sure you work hard. I know you have a lot to do. Please understand, I'm not taking shots at individuals, but that's a little bit inside baseball. The point is, anybody could have gotten a hold of this, and I suspect other people may have known about this as well. It was just kind of at a point where it felt like maybe it was time to at least sort of, share that information with a lot of people asking and a lot of people talking. So anyway, let's put it down there for now. Indiana also starts this game in about 20 minutes. Again, Mike's up there in Minneapolis. I'll write from here. I'll also write on everything around Woodson as the game is kind of going on. So a lot we'll have tonight, a lot we'll have tomorrow. IndyStar.com/sports, YouTube channel, you know where to find it all. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, I'm Zach Osterman. We'll talk to you soon.